It's day 4 of Parliament's impeachment inquiry against suspended Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Now, former SARS executive Johan van Lochenberg is expected to continue his testimony. The inquiry wants to know if Mkhwebane was dishonest when she compiled the report. Our reporter Lindsay Dentlinger is following this for us and joins us now from Cape Town. Good morning, Lindsay. Just a brief summation of yesterday's proceedings. What did we hear?
Well, as you say, Mfundo, Johan van Lochenberg, the second witness before this inquiry, but the first to give direct evidence on one of the reports, and that being that SARS report into an alleged rogue unit that Busisiwe Mkhwebane compiled in 2019. Essentially, the witness telling this inquiry that he had been ignored completely by the Public Protector when she conducted this probe. He said this was despite the fact that he had approached the office in the capacity of a whistleblower in 2016 to provide documents, to have an interview at the Public Protector's office. But then when it came down to investigating this matter and compiling her report, he was not contacted at all. The Public Protector alleging that she didn't know how to get a hold of him. Mr. van Lochenberg saying that that was untrue because he had had the same address since 2010. He was reachable on a phone number that he'd had for over 20 years and through his lawyers. But essentially, Mfundo, what was really at the heart of the testimony we heard just before the lunch break and running into the afternoon was a recording of the Public Protector having a meeting with intelligence officials, trying to establish from them whether they too had investigated the so-called rogue unit and trying to get a report from them on that matter, versions of which the Public Protector has over a period of time changed, whether she did in fact have a copy of this intelligence report, which she later told the court had been anonymously dropped off at her office. But really at the heart of all of this is whether she had been dishonest in her probe and whether she had conducted this probe fairly and given Mr. van Lochenberg the right of reply about the findings that she made in that report. But what we ended up learning more of, Mfundo, was really how the secret, the State Security Agency had been functioning at that time. Over 180 operatives, but only around 30 of them had legitimate contracts, the shredding of documents. These are the things we hear from that meeting that she had with intelligence officials, and not very much about whether in fact this rogue unit did in fact exist.
I must say, very concerning that somebody so central to the alleged or the so-called rogue unit would not be somebody that is interviewed by the Public Protector, especially because the media were able to access him at any point because he's done several interviews. So it would be interesting to hear what the Public Protector goes to say about this insofar as reaching him when he was such a central figure to at least cracking this particular investigation. And then today, what are we expecting?
Well, to your point there, Mfundo, interesting it's going to be to hear what the explanation is that the Public Protector comes up with in terms of why she made no contact with Mr. van Lochenberg as alleged, and we expect him to complete his testimony this morning. It was cut short a little bit yesterday afternoon because he was not available into the late afternoon, and currently the inquiry is going through an affidavit that he deposed, going through his version of events as it pertains to this particular investigation of the so-called rogue unit. And then, Mfundo, it will be the turn of the Public Protector's legal representative to cross-examine the claims that Mr. van Lochenberg is making about the fact that he was totally ignored in this investigation, and we expect that to continue for some time. The committee does have lined up Mr. Ivan Pillay, also a SARS executive of that time when this rogue unit was alleged to have been operating, and a colleague of Mr. van Lochenberg, but whether they get to that today still will all depend on how long the cross-examination lasts, and if indications are anything to go by from Mr. Mpofu's reactions, it's not going to be a quick one.
No, most certainly wouldn't be. Lindsay, thank you very much for that update. That's our reporter, Lindsay Dentlinger, who continues to monitor the impeachment inquiry. More news and updates on the other side of this break. Do stay with us.